Don't let your spirituality become your spiritual personality. Because I see so many people, and nothing against it at all, trust me, there's nothing I have against it. But there are so many people who carry the dreadlocks, have the tarot cards on hand, wear the crystals, the spiritual garments, the clothes, the robes, right? All this stuff, which is all freaking great. I love it. It's so expressive, eccentric. It's beautiful in many ways. But to assume that someone else or yourself is spiritual because of these appearances, that is wrong. That is a mistake. And it is very common for teachers, gurus, or whatever to portray themselves in this way. And it is documented through various cases that, yes, if you look like this, if you present yourself like this, people will think a certain way of you. That is why if you put on a suit, a fancy tuxedo or whatever, people will think that, hey, this guy is super cool, this guy's got it together, right? People label certain associations on top of us, or even ourselves, on behalf of how we carry ourselves. And to some degree, there is truth to it. Because if you just slouch over and you look all miserable and you're not taking care of yourself, hygiene is just not there, right? Yeah, we can make certain assumptions about where you are in life. And to some degree, that might be the case, sure. But to assume that that is always the case, or to assume that that is a recognition of where someone is on this path or any path, that is a mistake. And I love all this. I love all these appearances. And I might look very boring to you. Bald head, beard, plain shirt, right? Nothing fancy. And sure, you might not think anything of me, watching me. But there might be so much going on beneath the surface that you don't see. And so, I've met many deep, insightful, invigorating people in my life who, at first glance, would just look plain. Just look like your average Joe, like whatever. And that is really, it is so beautiful, and I love challenging people's beliefs and stereotypes and views, because I found myself in prison for years, in fact, and in this prison circumstance, people carry a lot of assumptions, really. You might not be so surprised, but I was in there doing breath work, meditation, qigong, walking bare feet, all this kind of stuff, right? And people were like, what the fuck is going on? What's up with this guy? You know, they thought I was crazy. But I looked like any other person. So they were like questioning me, what is going on with you? Why are you doing this? And that is really what I love. But some people, you know, they didn't see this part of me. They just saw me going to my cell, maybe being in the kitchen or whatever. They didn't see this part of me because we didn't really mingle. And for that reason, they assumed other things about me. I had one guy come up to me asking if he basically told me, because people started telling him, hey, have you checked out this guy? And he asked me one day, he told me, like, he thought I was a very hedonistic person. He thought I was just a lazy guy wasting my life away. And I was like, that's funny. That's curious that is what you see in me. Isn't it? Because, yeah, you may give off a certain vibe. And if you don't vibe with the vibe that you give off, then change it. Sure, change it. I might change my attire completely at some point. I have nothing attached to the way I look in that way. So if you want to play around, be fun, be expressive in the way that you go about displaying yourself in the world, do it. But know that it is just for the sake of having fun. It is just for the sake of doing it, not for presenting yourself or being perceived in a certain way. And so I also want you to release any judgment of other people that may look or appear a certain way at first glance, because unless you know that individual, how can you have any beliefs, thoughts, or concepts about who they are, who they even carry themselves as? It is all so superficial. And so yeah, how we look appearance-wise, how we appear, that is superficial. But what is really superficial is attaching certain beliefs about how other people look, or about how you look. So really just free yourself of that whole notion. Free yourself of the idea that in order to fit in with a group, you have to look like all the rest of them. No, you just have to be you. Whatever way you look, whichever way you want to appear. And that is why I love spiritual teachers who, they're just explicitly defying these notions, maybe wearing dressy shirts or tuxedos, whatever it may be, smoking cigarettes or whatever you will, right? That's really not the point. And if you point to people claiming that, hey, if you smoke cigarettes, if you drink alcohol, if you do this, X, Y, and Z, you can't be spiritual, you can't be this, you can't be that. Well, who are you to say what people can and cannot do? And really question what it even means to be spiritual in the first place. What does it mean? Because if you have some fixated notion or idea of what it means, you're already trapped. You're already trapped in the concept of spirituality rather than the living, breathing truth of spirituality, which is very simple. And in my view, it is simply the recognition, the knowing of who we are, of awareness, of beingness, right here, available now. So that, in my view, in my understanding, is what spirituality is. If you have a different view, great. But the important thing is just not to be pushing your beliefs or views of things down other people's throat. Or even to assume that you have to be a certain way in order to fit in. Because you don't need to fit in. You don't need to fit the description on the label. No. You just have to be you. So, yeah, I'm so passionate to be sharing all this. I'm so passionate to be able to work with you out there watching this right now. And so if you feel called, if you feel inspired, if you feel that we might be a match for working with one another, I've launched a spiritual life coaching program, which you'll find in the description down below. And so if you feel compelled somehow, I urge you to check it out and see if we're going to be working alongside one another. And with that, I wish you the absolute best. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. And we'll see you next time. Bye.